Welcome to the Modern Yogi Podcast. An exploration of ancient wisdom.
Hello, everyone.
Guys, it is my favorite episode. It's episode number...
I'm not going to sing it.
69!
Why?
Welcome. Thank you so much. We are on chapter 9, text number 16. And I'm super excited to be doing this with y'all.
And she's especially excited because we're on episode 69.
Wait, why were you not as excited when we were on chapter 6, text 9?
Oh my God. I didn't even think of that.
Good question, Priya.
Okay.
Oh, that's true.
So what are our names?
My name is Shama Sangeeta.
Hello, Shama. What is your name?
Oh, my name's Priyadarshini.
Hey, Priya Darshini. And my name is Shamali. Hi, Shamali.
Oh, okay. I was going to do it for you, Shamali.
You jumped the gun there.
I just thought my friends were going to chime in, so I was like high-fiving myself. You know?
You jumped the gun.
We were going to be there for you. But you got to
nice.
let us be
Thank
there
you.
for you, Shamali.
Let us be
I'll
there
let
for
you guys in.
Yeah. So,
On
quick
episode
recap.
69.
Recap on the last episode, very quick.
The last two texts, Krishna says, some people don't like me, some people do like me, and the people who like me are great souls, and they are not distracted by anything because they love me.
And what are the great souls called?
Mahatmas.
There we go.
Yeah,
Yes.
Mahatma.
And the people who love me with devotion chant my glories. They endeavor with great determination. They bow down before me. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Beautiful.
And that's basically it.
Yeah. All right. Is that good? All right. Invocation, please, ladies.
Sorry. You know what? That wasn't it.
What?
Can I say one more thing about
Yes.
this?
Go ahead. Yeah.
I thought I was going to be doing it solo, and I was like, what?
I'm so sorry, Shamali. I just realized that we needed...
Episode 69 is crazy.
That's never happened so far. I mean, we've had laughing fits during the invocation prayers, but I've never started solo.
Sorry about that.
Sorry. Last part of the recap.
I was just going to say in the last text, Krishna was talking about how by cultivating our knowledge, that's the sacrifice. The sacrifice of cultivating our knowledge is how we get to know Krishna better. And I wanted to mention that because it ties directly into text 16 because Krishna's going to talk about sacrifice again. So that's all part of the summary.
You're setting us up for this episode. Great.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Love that. All right.
Okay, sorry about that,
Invocation, ladies, please.
Okay.
Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Translation. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual teacher opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto them. All right. Chapter 9, text number 16, Priyadarshini.
But it is I who am the ritual, I the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herbs, the transcendental chant. I am the butter and the fire and the offering.
Okay, let's break
Krishna.
That's so Krishna is saying that he is all of these things.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, and the purport is saying the fire is also Krishna because fire is one of the 5 material elements. So therefore, claimed as the separate energy of Krishna, that's part of him. In other words, all the Vedic sacrifices recommended in Karma Kanda divisions of the Vedas are also basically Krishna.
You know what? There's this notion of like, Krishna says that he is the offering to the ancestors. And do you remember back, I think it was like chapter 1 or chapter 2, Arjuna was like, I can't kill all these people because then who's going to do the offerings to the ancestors? Do you remember that? Ooh, yeah.
Good connection.
And so there's like this really important notion in Bhakti Yoga of like giving offerings to the ancestors. And I think it's this time of the year called Pitra Paksha. Have you heard of this before?
No.
How do you know this?
So my family just did it. So I was in Toronto like 2 weeks ago, and we had to do a ceremony to offer food and like a bunch of other things to our ancestors.
That's so cool. That's like Dia de los Muertos.
Kind of. So in Pitra Paksha, right? So I was with my family, and like this time of the year is only 2 weeks of the year. And it is said that the veil between the ancestral world and the material world is actually very thin during these 2 weeks. It's like an astrological thing. And it's during that time that you offer things to your ancestors and they can receive it. So we actually had to go to the temple. And we had to give things that would make your ancestors happy in the ancestral world, actually. So like we offered like fruits.
I have a question for you, because I've actually never heard of this before. And I'm wondering and curious how it works with the concept of reincarnation.
Oh, that is very interesting, right? Because sometimes I think that sometimes souls get stuck on different planets for different time periods, right? Sometimes souls reincarnate right away and then they go into their next. But sometimes they're stuck in different planets, right? There's like sometimes when we die and we enter different planetary places, this is a particular place where all of the souls of our ancestors are for some time. You know what I mean?
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
And a little limbo.
A little, like, is it like purgatory? I don't know how purgatory.
I think purgatory is hell.
Purgatory, never mind. Purgatory is not the right one. I know nothing about Christianity. Sorry about that. But you know what I mean? It's like this limbo between where the souls are going. And so this time of the year, this 2 weeks of the year called Pitru Paksha, is this time where we're supposed to offer to our ancestors. And I love that this is mentioned like multiple times in the Gita.
That's so cool. You know, I never like really thought about it deeply. And I always like, now that you explain it, it also made me think about how in the Bhakti tradition, they celebrate like Vyasa Pujas, which is like basically like the appearance day of a saintly person. So like their birthday. And so that's also offerings to the ancestors. Right. And the cool thing is that all of these are connected. So like Dia de los Muertos and like
Pitru Paksha. Pitru Paksha.
Thank you. There you go. And also like Vyasa Pujas, what we do is like we give offerings to the memory of the saintly person or like the beloved or whatever, you know, that might be like a family member. So I thought that's really cool. Cool connection.
You know what's so interesting is that we, like me and my mom, my brother had to go to the temple. We had to do offerings for like my maternal grandparents, my paternal grandparents, and also my dad passed away like three years ago. And then this is my brother is very silly. The priest then asked, and remember there's a fire sacrifice, everything is being offered, right? There's a fire sacrifice, and then the priest goes, do you have anybody else that you want to give offerings to? Anybody that has passed away in your life that you really cared about, like a friend or something? And my brother looks at him point blank and he goes, Kobe Bryant. And I was like, are you joking? He's like, that was my friend. And I was like, oh my God, there's so many men that like so really believe that Kobe was his friend, because he wasn't, I don't know if he was joking or not. He might have been a little joking.
No, it doesn't feel like a joke. It doesn't feel like you don't say that to a priest.
No, but like my brother's humor is really weird and a little dark. But he also said, I'd like to make this offering to Kobe Bryant as well. But anyways, the fact that Krishna is talking about offerings to the ancestors is very interesting.
It also connects to our previous episode in which we talked about the devotion that people have to like athletes in sports, like in a crowd, you know, like right. It's incredible. So, but wow.
Yeah. So Krishna says that he is the ritual. He is the sacrifice. He is the offering to the ancestors. And then he says something called, he's also the healing herb. What does that mean?
I think that's so cool. I mean, if I break it down, to me, it's really sweet, because when he says, I am the ritual, you know, all those rules and regulations we talked about, right? Mm-hmm. So similarly, there's like rituals that we do, right? Whether it's when we offer the food, there's a little ritual that goes along with it. We ring a bell, we chant the mantras that accompany the food offering and all of these things. And it's sweet to know that he is present in that, because oftentimes I thought of these rituals more so as like the thing we do to please Krishna, not the process of connecting to Krishna directly. You know what I mean? Yep. It's like when I offer the food, afterwards Krishna gets to enjoy it. But actually, it's almost like Krishna saying, I am the ritual also. Right. I am present in the words that you're saying. I am present in the sentiment, in the sacrifice that you're making here. And then I guess also the healing herbs, it means like, you know, he's present in the herbs that heal people.
Yeah.
Right.
Just so sweet.
And the transcendental chant. So he is, if A plus B equals C, he is A, B, and C. He is all of those things, right?
Yes.
That's fair. Wow.
Yeah.
And he's also the butter and the fire in the offering.
That's because usually yagyas, the fire yagyas that we've talked about before, it's a fire sacrifice, and sacrifice doesn't mean the word that most people think. It's not like there's going to be someone being thrown into the fire or anything like that. It's more like an offering of prayers, and the priests that conduct these fire yagyas, basically they build, like picture this, they build a little square made out of cinder blocks.
Like an Indian wedding, right?
Oh yeah, that's a great visual.
Sorry, continue.
No. Yeah, like an Indian wedding. So they built a little fire pit. It's a fire pit, basically decorated with flowers because it's a ritual and fruits. And then they say mantras. And what they're doing is that they're inviting Krishna into the fire because they see Krishna as the fire. So here it says, I'm the butter and the fire and the offering, because the ritual that happens is that you offer fruits into the fire because you're offering it to Krishna. So Krishna is the fire, Krishna is the fruit. And in order to ignite the fire, they put butter. Wow. So Krishna is the butter. So he's saying, I'm every aspect of a sacrifice.
Oh, I love that.
Or a fire sacrifice.
That's amazing. Yeah. And if you've ever been to a Hindu wedding, you know the most important thing that they do is they walk around the fire and like that priest is chanting the mantras and Krishna is every single part of that entire exchange. Wow.
Super cool.
Cool. Anything else?
Shamla, you want to add anything to that?
No. I think that covered it.
All right. Text number 17.
Shama Gita.
All right. Krishna is speaking. He says, I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support and the grandchild. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. I am also the Rig, the Sama, and the Yajur Vedas. All right.
So yeah, basically this is saying the entire cosmic manifestations, both moving, non-moving, are manifested by different activities of Krishna's energy. So the material existence was created with different relationships that we have with different living entities, our mother, our father, our brother. But if you think about it, everything, every person, every aspect of the world comes from a different part of Krishna's energy. So essentially, like whether it's our father, mother, grandfather, they're actually all parts and parcels of Krishna. So as such, Prabhupada says that these living entities appear to be our father and mother, but they're nothing but Krishna. Now, I think that should be not confused for they are Krishna in themselves, but they are parts and parcels of Krishna. So everything's Krishna's energy, essentially.
Yeah. And the little feminist in me is really happy that he also said that he is the mother, right? Because in a lot of other like spiritual paths, it's like, I am the father, I am the seed, I am, it's like always the father, right? The father, right? But Krishna says, I am the father of this universe and the mother and the grandpa. Right. And the granddaddy, that's really cool. And that also like, it doesn't exclude him from just being the father, because if you're just the father, that is very like limiting.
Yeah.
Right.
He has many, I think you can look at it as like the father as the provider, the stabilizer, the supporter, the mother, the nurturer, and then the grandsire, the knowledge giver, like all of the wonderful aspects that these roles have in them towards us. Krishna's like, I got all of that.
It's all me.
It's all me. Wow. I'm here for you.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
No.
And so he also says, like, I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om, which I find very, very, I love that, because when we see that symbol, right, it's like associated with Hinduism in general right now. But he says, I am that symbol. I am that noise. I am that sound. I am that mantra, right? And so that is really, really beautiful.
Yeah, he's not any mantra.
Why don't we say it?
Huh?
Why don't we say it?
I love that. Okay, let's do that.
Let's do it.
Okay.
I didn't take a deep enough breath for that. Sorry. One more time. Krishna is that sound. Isn't that wild? Yeah. Okay, and this last line, who wants to tackle this one? The last line of the...
Yes, I am also the Rig, the Sama, and the Yajur Vedas.
Yeah, is that Yajur? I would say Yajur.
I say Yajur, but
Producer, do you know how to say Yajur?
Yajur.
Yeah.
So basically that last line is saying all of the Vedas aim only toward Krishna. So whatever we want to know through the Vedas is but a progressive step towards understanding Krishna, because the Vedas is broken down philosophy on every single aspect of life, of the world, of whatever social status you're in, whatever you want to achieve. It's all in the Vedic literature, the ancient philosophy from India, the ancient spiritual science, better said. So regardless of what you want, it's all taking steps closer and closer and closer to Krishna, where the core of everything is in this Bhagavad Gita wisdom.
Yes. Love that.
All right. Text 18. Shamali.
Oh, I love this one. I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place, and the eternal seed.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I love that one. Yeah, he is everything, everything we could possibly think of. And a nice kind of expanding of the verse is found in the purport where they say, everything's basically resting on Krishna's energy. Therefore, without Krishna's shelter, nothing, literally nothing can exist, because Krishna's the supreme ruler. Everything belongs to him and everything exists on his energy. And Krishna, being situated in everyone's heart, is the supreme witness. So we're never alone. Even when we think we don't have anybody, he's always there. And go ahead.
Sorry, there's this, what about like Brahma and Shiva, right?
Well, but Krishna sustains them.
Right? So there's this notion of like, okay, Brahma's the creator and Shiva's the destroyer, but Krishna is saying here that I am the creation and the annihilation and the basis of everything. So does Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, like they're part of Krishna?
Yeah.
Everything.
They come from Krishna.
Here it says the residents, countries, planets on which we live are also Krishna. Krishna is the ultimate goal of shelter, and therefore one should take shelter of Krishna. Whether it's for protection or for annihilation from his distress, whatever it is, come to Krishna. And Krishna is the original source of creation and the ultimate rest after annihilation. So he's the eternal cause of all causes.
I love that he says he's the resting place.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of beautiful?
There's a lot of beautiful sentiments in what he's expressing in this one.
Yeah. This was like
The
poetry.
shelter. Yeah. It's
Slam
just,
poetry in this one.
You want to read it
Right.
one more time, Shamali?
Yeah.
Yeah. I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place, and the eternal seed. I love it. Beautiful.
That was so good.
That
was so good. And he says the most dear friend, you know, of all of the things, he's like this big God that can do anything. And then he's also your most dear friend too.
Right. And in the original Sanskrit text, gati means the destination where we want to go. So we're reading the text, which is essentially the English translation of the original Sanskrit. So the ultimate goal or destination is Krishna, even if some people don't know, they're not aware of that yet. So one who doesn't know Krishna, it might be misled by his quote unquote so-called progressive march, either partial or hallucinatory. So Prabhupada kind of says that in a way of, it's not in touch with reality. It might be a reality that we believe in, like a virtual reality.
What's not in touch with the reality?
If we're misguided and don't know Krishna's the ultimate goal. So Prabhupada uses the word hallucinatory. And I like that because whenever you put like a virtual reality set, you're in a reality that's not even really reality. But if we think of it, what is even reality? You know, not really. We're in a dream within a dream within a dream. So Prabhupada's saying some people really buy into the hallucination. So people who don't know Krishna's the ultimate goal, they're a little misguided. And then that sparks compassion in our hearts because not everybody knows what is the purpose. And that leads to such dissatisfaction. So I like, there's one more part that I highlighted. It says, such planets being manifestations of Krishna's energy are also Krishna, but actually they only serve as a step forward for realization of Krishna. Because maybe someone might strive for a heavenly planet to have different, I don't know, sense gratifications and joys. But basically Prabhupada says, and I love this line, to approach the different energies of Krishna is to approach Krishna indirectly. And one should just, bypass all of that and directly approach Krishna, for that'll save time and energy.
Yeah.
Just
I love that.
Spare yourself.
And this notion of like Krishna says he is the resting place. Did I ever talk about this book on the podcast? I can't remember if I did or if it was just a conversation. This book called Heaven is for Real.
I don't think you
I
ever
don't think so.
mentioned.
No.
Okay, so there was this episode of Oprah that I watched probably like I don't know. I want to say like 15 years ago. Okay. And it was about this small Christian family. And what had happened is like the youngest son in this very small family, he actually like got into an accident and he was in a coma for a little bit. And then he actually like physically died.
Oh, wow.
He had come back after a while, but like for a certain period of time, they weren't able to revive him. And then they revived him. And then, so he went on the show. And like everyone was asking him like, what happened during that time that you were dead? And like, you guys can read this book. Like I'm not making this up. You guys can go check it out. It's called Heaven is for Real. And so he responded and he said, the time that I was dead, he said, I actually saw God. And this is like this small town Christian boy, right? He said, I actually saw God. And they said, what did God look like? And then he goes, I don't know, but he's kind of blue. And I was just like, oh my God. Like of all of the ways to describe God, he says, I don't know, but he's kind of blue. And then he got revived and brought back to life again. But I just found that so fascinating. It's like Krishna is the resting place. And so like sometimes when you leave this world and like if you're lucky enough to see him, like you mentioned in the past episode, like if you're lucky enough to see him, like that's miraculous.
That gave me a little goosebumps and a little tear. Yeah. Because that's really sweet to think. The resting place.
Yeah. The resting place. Krishna is the resting place.
That's beautiful because in both that story and the one I mentioned in the previous episode, neither of these were bhakti yogi practitioners.
Yeah.
These are people who are just very faithful, to God and don't even call him Krishna. And in both of their visions or near-death experiences, Krishna, God, which they didn't even call Krishna, was bluish black. So blue in your case, and the other one in the mystic saint, Catholic saint, blackish. And that's how they describe Krishna, blackish blue, like a monsoon rain cloud.
Yeah, that's wild.
Wow. That's beautiful. And that's such a strong testimony because it's not even just a bhakti yogi saying like, yeah, it says in the text, so that's what it is. No, I mean, these are people who have no idea. They might sound to themselves crazy, but they just saw it and they feel it.
Yeah. Oh, so lovely that Krishna shows himself to people and
great souls.
Yeah, like really, if you sit with that for a second, this is all real. How often do we just read this and feel like there's walls of doubt, but we're hoping to, in this process, carve away the walls that we've put up. Because if you really, really, really believe this, wow, it has so much weight. And sometimes we can hear it, but it's like, are we really hearing it? Not always.
Yeah. All right. Anything else before we jump to text number 19?
Text 19.
Okay, Priyadarshini.
O Arjuna, I give heat and I withhold and send forth the rain. I am immortality and I am also death personified. Both spirit and matter are in me.
Oof. All right, slowly, one by one, little by little.
O Arjuna, I give heat. That's
like the sun.
Yeah.
Krishna is the sun.
He provides heat for all of us.
Okay, perfect.
And I withhold and send forth the rain. I wonder, like, do we think that he means directly, or do you think he means just like, I can and I do this? Because we do know that Indra usually handles rain,
weather,
right.
The weather department, the weather network. Yeah.
But Indra's ultimately catering to Krishna's desire. So
right. So I'm wondering if Krishna means like, I can do it personally, or it's like, I take care of that through Indra.
I'm sure it could be both.
Yeah, it could be both. Then it says, I am immortality. So we know that he is immortal, but he's also like the source of immortality if it were to be given, which is not, but and I am also death personified.
So usually like that is given to the god Yamraj, right?
Yeah.
And so
that service.
Yeah. But he can also, he's in charge of the god of death. He is death personified. Wow. Death personified. There's a lot of poetry happening in these verses right now.
Yeah. It's very cool. And then he says, both spirit and matter are in me. And that's like the easier one to understand.
Yep.
About the life and death part, I think that's super interesting because, basically Krishna is the energy which sustains us he can prolong the duration of our life. But he also, and I like how Prabhupada words this, Krishna meets us at the end as death. So death oftentimes is such a scary thing. I think I definitely, and I know so many people can relate to either having a fear of yourself dying or loved ones dying. Death is scary. But when I think of my spiritual master, he actually said, and it relates to this verse, whenever someone would ask him how he feels, I remember him once telling me, he said, I'm dealing with Krishna. If I were dealing with death, that would be very different. But I'm dealing with Krishna here,
That was a nice thought.
And I loved that.
I never thought about it like that.
He just like nonchalantly shrugged, he was about to die in a matter of weeks, And yeah. Or no, at that point it was in December and he died in March, because then I went back in March. But still, in December, right before he died, he said that.
That's really interesting because like a lot of people perceive death as like the Grim Reaper or like very dark, very scary, like you were saying, right? But you're saying like at the end of this, I'm just going to focus and look for Krishna. Like that's what I'm looking for. And like even this confirms it because Krishna's saying, I am death personified. Yeah. So it's like, he's going to be there to greet us.
Because he basically, right before saying that, he said, I'm just waiting to die. He said very almost like just matter of fact. And I was like, ay, Maharaj. And he says, well, I'm dealing with Krishna. If I were dealing with death, it would be very different. And I know that at the end of his life, he 100% saw Krishna, because in the final, and I've said this before, in the final 30 minutes before he passed away, he just spread his mouth into the biggest smile. And I know he was becoming face to face with Krishna, and something that none of us, we were able to see there. And it was so beautiful to witness that,
You're giving me chills, Shamli. That's so beautiful. And at the end of the day, if Krishna is death personified, right? And if we've spent our entire life cultivating a friendship with Krishna, right? Then at the time of death, we will meet our friend, and that's not a scary thing,
Yeah, I love that perspective. That's really a good one to hold on to when fear comes, right?
Yeah. When any type of fear comes, it's like I've spent my life believing in my friend, and I know my friend is going to take care of me, and I know no matter what, he has my back, whether I'm supposed to leave this earth now or 30 years from now or 50 years from now. It doesn't matter, but I know my friend got me, He got me.
Yeah. Maharaj would also say death is just a change of service, like I have this service now, and death is like, okay, I'm leaving this body and I'm going to occupy a different service. So death is just a change of service.
That's another really nice. Wow. That's a really nice one too.
Wow. So Krishna meets us at the end as death. And I want to say one last thing to preface that smile that he had at the end of his life. I said it before, but he wasn't taking any painkillers. So he was essentially being eaten alive, like on the inside, in so much pain. I don't think anyone can imagine going through that level of cancer all over the body without taking a single painkiller. That is, he could barely breathe and had people fanning on top of his mouth to try to breathe a little. So with all of that, he still, 30 minutes before dying, busted out into the biggest transcendental smile. He was beaming. I mean, that's only a smile that is caused from seeing something that we weren't seeing here,
That's beautiful. All right. Anything else? Text 20?
The only last part I want to say is, I love this last part, that in the advanced stages of Krishna consciousness, one doesn't make distinctions between, I don't know, what's material, what's spiritual, what's this, what's that. No distinctions are made because we see Krishna in every single thing. Krishna is both matter and spirit. He's the gigantic universal form that comprises all material manifestations. That's Krishna. And he is also the Krishna that has his eternal pastimes in Vrindavan, the two-handed Shamasundar who plays the flute, are all of those. That's also Krishna. So he is everything. Everything is Krishna. That person that might bump into me and ruffle my feathers, that's also sent by Krishna. This person that teaches me this lesson, that's also Krishna. Yeah. So when you begin to see Krishna as everything and everywhere, that totally shifts your day, because it becomes everything actually magical. And instead of something that's happening to me, it's happening for me. Oh, so
that's the aspiration, to see everything like that. You know what I mean? Like that's what we should strive for. Because I'm not in the place where I don't know about you two, but that's the aspiration.
Well, I think for all of us, we can even try that. That is the aspiration. And we've said before, the moment that you start spreading the gap between responding to every stimulus that comes your way, that's where you can leave the space for seeing Krishna's hand behind everything.
Yeah. And Shamli, you've said that so many times that I literally have started applying it where like something bad will happen. I'm like, the gap, widen the gap between stimulus and response, widen the gap, do what Shamli said. So now I'm actually starting to understand it.
Yeah, it's a
That's
lifelong.
how it takes. It takes repetition. It takes practice. It takes reminders.
Yeah.
Okay, text 20. Shamasangita.
Yes. Krishna saying, those who study the Vedas and drink the soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. Purified of sinful reactions, they take birth on the pious heavenly planets of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. Okay, there's a lot here. There's a lot here.
Yeah.
Okay, one sentence at a time.
Yes.
Those who study the Vedas and drink the soma juice.
Yeah.
Okay. So is that the juice with the drugs in it? Is that right?
I think it is supposed to be an intoxicant. Like it's supposed to be like their version of alcohol.
Oh, interesting. Okay, got it. And drink this.
Am I correct?
the soma
Anyone
juice?
can corroborate that. I mean, we can look at should we confirm?
I think maybe it's like, because at the end they're talking about endeavors to reach higher planetary systems. So I don't know exactly what soma juice is, because that's not something we do on the path of bhakti, but it's maybe different endeavors, different things, studying the Vedas, drinking this juice, worshiping different
this is not the path of
demigods.
bhakti.
Got it.
You're
For
doing
sure.
all of these things to try to reach a higher planetary system that it says once you are situated in those higher planetary systems, you can satisfy your senses hundreds of thousands of times better than on this planet. But do we want that? Are we
That's
trying
true.
to satisfy our senses? I don't know.
Right, drinking the soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets where you can enjoy. So that Krishna's saying that those people worship me indirectly. It's a very obscure path, not a very direct path. It's
Right.
very going around the corner. Probably not the most correct path. Correct.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Because Prabhupada says, unfortunately, there's so many great scholars of the Vedic literature who they don't know the ultimate purpose and the purport of studying them. Therefore, Krishna herein declares himself to be the ultimate goal of the Tri-Vedas. Vedis?
Trivedas?
It says
Trivedas.
Vedis. Okay.
Trivedas.
Of course. Like we had said before, the Rig Veda, all those different Vedas, Krishna's the goal. So here he's clearing up, I am the end goal. Just don't even waste your time trying to find other stuff.
Yeah. And is this like people who also have like done a lot of good things in their life? They do, like, they donated, they took care of people, right? They do take birth on better planets when they die, or like when they die, they go to these better planets to enjoy the fruits, right?
Yeah, usually, as far as I remember, but I think that's true. I also think that they come back and they reap the rewards of their pious activities, like having good karma, they are born again, wealthy, whatever.
In this material world.
Yeah, I think people who are knowledgeable and like usually show devotion towards like Indra or give me another example, Ganesh,
Right.
or whoever it might be, people who show devotion in that way, they end up going to a planet in which they can worship Indra, because that's
right.
what they're seeking, right? And so that's why we worship Krishna, because we want to go where Krishna is.
Right.
And so usually a lot of these heavenly planets are for worshippers of like Jesus or Buddha or other worshippers too, because they want to worship them, right?
Yeah.
It's like their heaven. But I do think that pious people also make it to heavenly planets.
So it's interesting that all these planets have the word Loka at the end, right? So if you want to go to a place where Indra lives, it's Indra Loka. If you want to go to where the moon planet is, it's Chandra Loka, right? But if you want to go to Krishna, it's Krishna Loka.
Yeah. Loka means the world.
The world.
So the world of Krishna, the world of Indra.
Fun fact,
Yes.
because we did fun facts in the last one when you mentioned Chandra Loka, didn't Krishna descend into the Kuru dynasty to have his whole pastime in the Mahabharata and reciting the Bhagavad Gita? He came from the moon planet, from Chandra Loka, right? Didn't he come from the moon dynasty? I'm pretty sure that's a fact. Now we're all eyeballing Abhijit. Yes, right? I'm pretty sure. I knew that as a solid fact
We'll also look
a
it
little
up
bit
too.
ago,
Yeah.
but now I'm recalling from my memory. So I don't know why it would be in my memory bank if it wasn't a fact once upon a time. So it should still be a fact. So every time at night I look up to the moon, I kind of just imagine that. And you try to then connect everything to Krishna.
Love that.
Very
That's
sweet.
beautiful. All right, pop quiz. What is the planet of the sun called in Sanskrit?
Surya.
Surya Loka.
It's Surya Loka. Nice. Living la vida loca. That's good. All right.
All right.
Is that Ricky Martin's?
Yeah.
Heavenly Planet?
Yeah, Ricky Martin is Living la vida loca. With a K.
Okay, text 21. Right?
Shamali.
Nice. When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the 3 Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death.
Priya, this is exactly what you were talking about. You were like, okay, so once you go, you do a bunch of good stuff, you go to that heavenly planet where you can enjoy, and then all of your pious activity, Krishna's saying, is exhausted. You've run out of it. The bank account is done. Then you come back to this mortal planet, planet Earth, again.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Because at the end of the day, that is not the ultimate goal. So it's just a temporary destination in which you can reap the rewards of your good deeds. But good deeds are not the goal either. Good deeds are just good.
Yeah.
But we want to do Krishna conscious deeds, right? We want to
Go beyond that.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean that you're not doing charity. It doesn't mean that you're not giving, giving whatever you can to society in other ways. That's not what it means. But it does mean that we understand the goal. We understand Krishna's the goal.
Right.
That's the idea.
Yeah, Prabhupada says it's like as if one's on a Ferris wheel. Sometimes goes up, sometimes comes down. We just want to get off the Ferris wheel and just not have to keep going on the rides. Because imagine you're at an amusement park for eternity. Oh my God, what a nightmare.
You were there this week. You had an amusement park thing this weekend,
It
right?
was beautiful. I would not stay there eternally.
Because you go up and down, up and down, up and down.
I was
and you're
dizzy
just
sometimes, and oh my God, too much.
And not just the rides. I mean, everything about it.
Oh, so much noise.
It's like, oh, there's food. And then, oh, too much food.
Right,
Noise. Everything
Right.
is just...
you just want to get off the ride at some point,
Yeah.
It's good for a little bit, but like after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, you're just like, oh, get me off,
Yeah. And you know what's interesting? Because the heavenly planets, everything's better. Imagine just being like upgraded to a video game where all of a sudden you have high def vision, the colors are brighter, your lifespan is longer.
Your body is made like super strongly.
Yeah, yeah.
Never get sick. That's what I want.
So though they say that we're in the perfect middle ground where we've said this before, the enjoyment isn't too much that it'll consume and distract us. And the suffering isn't too much that it just consumes us and we can't think of anything. So we are in the perfect situation now to make spiritual progress. It's like the nice middle ground.
Yeah. Okay. Should
The
we-
last one
Yeah,
part
take
I
it,
actually
Shamli.
want to say. They say the purport is that instead of being elevated to the spiritual world from the
Take your time. No part.
The
no worries.
purport is that instead of being elevated to the spiritual world from which there is no longer any possibility of coming down, one simply revolves in the cycle of birth and death on higher and lower systems. So this line I wanted to comment on. One should know better than to take the spiritual world to enjoy an eternal life full of bliss and knowledge and never return to the miserable material existence. So that part, miserable material existence, reminded me of a conversation I was having with a coworker, essentially saying this: we want to get out of the rat race. There's so much suffering here. Blah, material world.
Blah.
Want to go to the eternal spiritual world. And he was saying, is it all that miserable? Do you really believe that? There is some enjoyment here, right? Life isn't all that bad. Beep. Like he almost thought I was like depressed. And he's like, chipper up, Shamali.
You were the least depressed
person. And I was like, oh, let me rephrase this. And I was like, no. I hear you. I hear how it sounds. And believe me, I'm someone who can experience deep joy in life. I'm not saying this is all bad. But even if you can experience deep joy, the premise of the material world is still that everyone you love is going to have to die at some point. We're all going to get sick and wither. And so even if you experience such joy, and there's so much joy in life, you look up at the stars, the creation, it's magic filled. But you're still going to have to say goodbye to people you love. I don't know why after tearing up with my spiritual master, I could almost cry again thinking about that. I'm in an emotional state. Yeah. So there are things that are going to cause you so much heartbreak in this life. And there is a place beyond all of this that you're not going to have to experience that heart-wrenching emotion of having to say goodbye to someone you love, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why we want to get out of here, because our soul is spiritual, but it's trapped in a body that's weighing us down, and we don't belong here. We're not humans having a spiritual experience, but we're spiritual beings having a human experience.
Oof.
So
yeah, that's real. Yeah. There's this TV show on Apple TV about this psychologist that loses his wife.
I've seen it.
What's it called?
Shrinking.
Oh my God. I watched that and I love it.
It's such a beautiful show. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But essentially the premise is that he's a psychologist and his wife dies early, right? And he loved her. He loved everything about her, you know? They had good times and bad times, but at the end of the day, she was taken from him early, right? And there was this one scene where he was looking through a scrapbook of all of their memories, and then the line was something like, "And that's all we got together." It was fun though, right? But it's just at the end of the day, like there is so much misery because we do get attached to our families, our spouses, our pets, our children. We get attached to so many things because it's a new normal human thing to do is to get attached, right? And then, but these things aren't going to be with us forever, right? And so it's like that detachment, finding that balance of that detachment is so important, and then reattaching ourselves to the thing that is going to be with us forever, which is Krishna and our relationship with Krishna.
Yeah. And I love,
it's a good show. Go check it out. Shrinking on Apple TV.
I love that we get to do this then and cultivate something a little more real than what we think is real.
Yeah. That's real. That's real. That's real.
You're the realist.
You're the realist.
All right. Well,
that's it
Final
for this
thoughts?
episode.
Yeah, I think we should close it because the next episode, I know I say this a lot, but the next verse is one of my favorite verses. And I know I say that every single chapter, but I really, 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 really like the next verse. So let's save it for the next episode.
Shamasan Gita is the kind of person who on vacation says, "Oh my gosh, today was the best day ever." And then the next day she goes, "Oh my God, today was the best day ever."
So when the next time she tells you, "Oh my God, you're the best friend ever," it's like, thanks. How many people are you telling this?
I mean, a lot of people. I do say that to a lot of people. But I just think that there's a lot of good verses in there.
It's the golden retriever. It's nice. It's nice.
I do have a golden retriever mentality towards life. Everything's the best.
It's good.
No, but there are a lot of good text in here. So it's great that you're pointing out your favorite ones.
Yeah. And so the next episode's going to be really, really good. Okay. So tune into that next time.
We'll see you guys on chapter 9, text 22.
22. Yeah.
22. So we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening.
Beautiful. Bye.
Bye. Hello, beautiful souls. If you like what you're hearing, please follow us on Instagram at Modern Yogi Podcast.
And if you love what you're hearing, please make sure to share a link to our podcast at Modern Yogi Podcast with all your friends, families, and long-lost cousins.
And if you have any questions at all, send us a DM on Instagram at Modern Yogi Podcast, and we'll be sure to get back to you.
Thank you for listening to
The Modern Yogi.